Welcome. Today, we're diving into the world of nature-based solutions, or NBS, and exploring how they can help us build a sustainable future. The concept of NBS has gained momentum as we realize that working with nature rather than against it is essential for tackling climate change and biodiversity loss. Back in 1992, the United Nations Earth Summit set the stage for global action, but only recently have climate and biodiversity communities begun to truly collaborate. This shift is crucial because the challenges we face are deeply interconnected. Let's explore what NBS really means and why it's so important for our planet's future. Nature-based solutions are actions that involve working with the natural world to deliver benefits for both people and biodiversity. This includes restoring, connecting, and protecting natural and semi-natural ecosystems on land and in the sea. NBS also covers sustainable management of working lands, like croplands and timberlands, and even bringing nature into our cities through green infrastructure. The goal is to create a synergy where people and nature thrive together, addressing climate change and biodiversity loss at the same time. Climate change and biodiversity loss are not separate problems. They share many of the same drivers, like land use change and deforestation. For example, clearing forests for agriculture not only emits greenhouse gases but also destroys habitats. Recognizing this interdependency is key. Protecting and restoring ecosystems can help limit global temperature rise and stem biodiversity loss, making NBS a powerful tool for tackling both crises together. Healthy ecosystems provide natural barriers that protect communities, infrastructure, and agriculture from extreme events like floods and heat waves. When managed sustainably, these ecosystems can also support diverse sources of income and food, especially during times of shortage. By investing in the protection and restoration of nature, we not only build natural capital but also strengthen social capital, making societies more resilient to future shocks. To ensure that nature-based solutions are truly effective, a group of experts developed four evidence-based guidelines. These guidelines help policymakers and investors focus on projects that are sustainable, community-led, and biodiversity-based. The guidelines emphasize that NBS should not replace urgent climate action, must involve a wide range of ecosystems, center on local communities, and deliver measurable benefits for biodiversity. Let's break down each guideline in detail. First guideline is clear. Nature-based solutions are not a substitute for the rapid phase-out of fossil fuels. NBS must not delay urgent action to decarbonize our economies. While NBS can help mitigate climate change, their potential is limited if we continue to rely on fossil fuels. High-polluting industries must have credible plans to reduce emissions, and investments in NBS should support, not distract from, the broader goal of decarbonization. Calculating the climate mitigation potential of NBS is complex, involving many biophysical and socioeconomic factors. However, there is consensus that NBS could save around 10 gigatons of carbon dioxide per year globally. This potential is split across protecting intact ecosystems, sustainably managing working lands, and restoring native habitats. But remember, this is only a part of the solution. Rapid emission reductions are still essential. When we look at the Paris Agreement's temperature goals, NBS can only contribute a small part to global cooling. Even if scaled up to the maximum, NBS could reduce global warming by about 1 degrees C if we peak at 5 degrees C, or 3 degrees C if we peak at 2 degrees C. This means that while NBS are important, they cannot replace the need for rapid and deep cuts in fossil fuel emissions. Growing concern is that NBS are being used by corporations as a way to cheaply offset emissions, rather than reducing them. Many high-emitting industries claim carbon neutrality by investing in NBS, but without real emission cuts, this can slow global progress. True climate action requires both emission reductions and responsible investment in NBS, not one or the other. Second guideline stresses that NBS should involve the protection, restoration, and management of a wide range of ecosystems, not just forests. This includes aquatic systems, grasslands, wetlands, and even urban environments. Over-focusing on tree planting, especially with non-native species, can be counterproductive and may even harm biodiversity and carbon storage in the long run. Tree planting has become a popular NBS, but it's not always the best approach. Commercial plantations with single, non-native species often store carbon only temporarily and are less resilient to pests and climate extremes. In contrast, protecting intact, biodiverse native ecosystems provides greater long-term benefits for both climate and biodiversity. Intact ecosystems such as old-growth forests, peatlands, and wetlands are hotspots for both biodiversity and carbon. Protecting these areas is far more effective than restoring degraded lands or planting new trees. These ecosystems also provide critical services like water regulation and disaster protection, making their conservation a top priority for NBS. A holistic approach to NBS means prioritizing the protection of remaining intact ecosystems, restoring degraded habitats, and connecting native habitats across landscapes and seascapes. This ensures that NBS deliver the greatest possible benefits for both people and nature, rather than focusing narrowly on one type of intervention. Third guideline emphasizes that NBS must be designed, implemented, and managed by or in partnership with indigenous peoples and local communities. Their rights, knowledge, and needs must be respected and championed. Projects that involve local communities are more likely to succeed and deliver lasting benefits, both for people and the environment. Indigenous peoples and local communities are often the best stewards of their lands, practicing sustainable management for generations. However, they are frequently excluded from decision-making and sometimes even displaced in the name of conservation. Successful NBS must ensure these groups are central to planning and benefit sharing. The Scottish Highlands, projects like the Bunlate Rewilding Project are restoring peatlands, protecting old-growth forests and replacing non-native plantations with native woodlands. These efforts not only enhance biodiversity and carbon storage but also aim to provide sustainable livelihoods for local people, demonstrating the power of community-led NBS. Humbo Ethiopia Assisted Natural Regeneration Project is another great example. Local farmers regenerated over 2,700 hectares of degraded forests, supported by legal rights and training. The project has removed significant amounts of CO2, reduced soil erosion, and improved water resources, all while supporting local livelihoods. Fourth guideline is that NBS must support or enhance biodiversity. Biodiversity is the diversity of life at all levels, from genes to ecosystems. It underpins the stability and productivity of our natural systems, making them more resilient to disturbances like fire, disease, and drought. NBS should be designed to deliver measurable benefits for native biodiversity. It's important to measure the biodiversity benefits of NBS using robust, holistic metrics. This means looking beyond just carbon and forests and considering other habitats and the well-being of local communities. A good NBS strategy will use a diverse mix of native species and avoid destroying existing species-rich habitats. Scaling up NBS requires robust commitments from high-emitting nations, especially at global climate summits like COP26. Countries must increase their climate ambition, back it up with action plans, and ensure finance is directed toward biodiversity-based, people-led NBS. Only then can we achieve the systemic change needed for a sustainable future. Protecting intact ecosystems, restoring degraded habitats, and managing working lands more sustainably can deliver significant biodiversity benefits. However, outcomes depend on local context, such as the species involved and the state of the landscape. NBS must be tailored to local conditions for maximum impact. Not all NBS are created equal. For example, establishing exotic tree plantations in carbon-rich native ecosystems can actually harm biodiversity and carbon storage. However, in degraded landscapes, plantations might help if they enable native vegetation to regenerate. The key is to design NBS that deliver real measurable benefits for both climate and biodiversity. Global summits like COP26 and the G20 ministerial meeting are critical opportunities to drive systemic change. These gatherings can catalyze commitments to protect nature, increase climate ambition, and scale up finance for biodiversity-based, people-led. The decisions made at these summits will shape our collective future. Successful Nature COP would see the global community acknowledging the role of all biodiverse ecosystems in climate mitigation and adaptation. It would involve joint work programs, increased ambition in national plans, clear standards for carbon sequestration, and robust commitments to defund ecosystem loss. These steps are essential for a just and sustainable trajectory. To truly scale up good NBS, we must also end investments that harm the climate and biosphere. This means stopping new finance for fossil fuel projects and redirecting subsidies that drive ecosystem loss. By repurposing these funds, we can help close the vast global funding gap for nature recovery. Widespread systemic change requires a fundamental shift in how we view our relationship with nature and each other. Instead of valuing only material wealth, we must prioritize health, well-being, and connection. This cultural shift is already underway, as seen in the rise of global climate activism and the growing recognition of nature as an ally. Accelerating this shift requires more collaboration and communication across cultures, disciplines, and sectors. Only by working together can we convince a majority that careful stewardship of ecosystems is fundamental to healthy societies and meaningful lives. Nature is our life support system, and we must treat it as such. 4 guidelines for successful, sustainable NBS were first developed in 2020 by a consortium of UK organizations. They were quickly adopted by campaigns and policy recommendations, influencing both corporate and government action. Their broad adoption is now encouraged worldwide to ensure that NBS investments are ethical, effective, and do not delay urgent climate action. To meet these guidelines, policymakers and practitioners must set clear goals and quantitative targets for each guideline. Progress should be monitored using robust, holistic metrics that account for carbon, biodiversity, and social equity. Adaptive management is key to improving outcomes over time. As interest in NBS grows, promoting these guidelines is essential. The goal is to channel investment into the best biodiversity-based and community-led projects while avoiding distractions from urgent decarbonization. Broad adoption by businesses and governments will help ensure that NBS are part of a just and sustainable future. There are many examples of NBS that meet most or all of the guidelines. These projects demonstrate how working with local communities, focusing on native biodiversity, and ensuring long-term benefits can create successful, sustainable outcomes. For more case studies, resources are available at the Nature-Based Solutions Initiative. Policymakers play a crucial role in setting the stage for successful NBS. By establishing clear policies, providing funding, and ensuring accountability, they can help scale up effective projects and ensure that investments deliver real benefits for both people and the planet. Robust metrics are essential for tracking the success of NBS. These should go beyond carbon accounting to include biodiversity and social equity. By using comprehensive metrics, we can ensure that NBS deliver on their promises and adapt as needed to changing conditions. Adaptive management means learning from experience and adjusting strategies over time. For NBS, this involves regular monitoring, feedback, and improvement. By staying flexible and responsive, projects can achieve better outcomes for both people and nature. Successful NBS require the engagement of a wide range of stakeholders, including governments, businesses, local communities, and scientists. By bringing diverse perspectives together, we can design solutions that are more effective, equitable, and sustainable. Investing in NBS not only builds natural capital but also strengthens social capital. Through collaboration and shared stewardship, communities become more resilient and better able to cope with future challenges. Social capital is a key ingredient for long-term success. Nature is our life support system. Healthy ecosystems provide clean air, water, food, and countless other benefits. Ignoring or undervaluing nature puts our future at risk. The evidence for the importance of NBS has never been clearer, and now is the time to act. Despite the promise of NBS, there is a significant funding gap. Over $700 billion per year is needed for nature recovery. Redirecting harmful subsidies and increasing investment in biodiversity-based, community-led projects are essential steps to closing this gap and achieving global sustainability goals. Ongoing research is vital for understanding what works in NBS and why. By learning from both successes and failures, we can refine guidelines, improve project design, and maximize benefits for people and nature. Collaboration between researchers, practitioners, and communities is key. The challenges of climate change and biodiversity loss are global, and so must be our response. International collaboration, knowledge sharing, and joint action are essential for scaling up NBS and achieving a sustainable, just future for all. Looking ahead, the future of NBS depends on our collective commitment to the four guidelines: rapid decarbonization, broad ecosystem focus, community partnership, and biodiversity enhancement. By following these principles, we can ensure that NBS deliver lasting benefits for people and the planet. The movement for nature-based solutions is growing, and everyone has a role to play. Whether you're a policymaker, business leader, scientist, or community member, your actions matter. By supporting and promoting good NBS, we can all contribute to a healthier, more sustainable world. For those interested in learning more, there are many resources available, including case studies, guidelines, and research articles. The Nature-Based Solutions Initiative is a great place to start, offering examples of good practice and opportunities to get involved. Natalie Seddon, professor of biodiversity at the University of Oxford, is a leading voice in the field of nature-based solutions. As the founding director of the Nature-Based Solutions Initiative, she has played a key role in developing and promoting the guidelines discussed in this video. In summary, nature-based solutions offer a powerful way to address climate change and biodiversity loss, but only if we follow clear evidence-based guidelines. By working together, respecting local communities, and prioritizing biodiversity, we can create a more resilient, sustainable future for all. Let's embrace nature as our ally and steward it wisely for generations to come.